What were the conditions for you over the last few hours?
They were absolutely nothing compared to what people are going through in Palestine, especially Gaza right now. This is yet another international a violation of international rights, adding to the list of countless of such, especially towards Palestinians, that Israel are committing by blocking and preventing humanitarian aid from entering Gaza. That is illegal.
You know, one thing I've learned is that we've all been saying Greta Thunberg's name wrong, because I saw her say it on camera and it was more like this. It was like that. It was kind of like a sort of a it's the kind of noise that might have come out of your backyard hens, as a matter of fact, Dave. Now, I wonder here, can you accommodate the idea that Greta Thunberg is a well-intentioned individual? Do you feel that she's been exploited? And what do you think what about this protest stroke publicity stunt do you agree with? And what do you think is beneficial? Do you think this can advance the process of peace in that region? Or do you sort of have a very cynical view of Greta?
Sure. Well, first, I would say I can't speak to her intentions, but what I can say is that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So if I was being as widely generous as I possibly could be, let's say her intentions are good, it doesn't mean that the output is good. But before we do her, I think that you just illustrated perfectly why I love you so much, Russell, as a human and as whatever it is that we are as public people, because the way you preface this whole thing was perfect. There's the climate version of this that she got really involved in, that of course we all want the earth. It's all of our home, at least for now, till Elon gets us off this mortal coil. And of course, all of us want it to be as healthy as possible, and we want our children to breathe clean air and have clean water and all of those things. The fight usually is about how do you fix these things. And I would also say, and you sort of got to this, sort of the virtue signaling around it. You know, if you take like a certain person that lives in like Los Angeles, in Beverly Hills, that, you know, recycles perfectly and everything else, it's like they can do all that and feel very good about that, and that's just fine. But, you know, India and China are industrialized nations going through what we went through 50 years ago, that put more coal and CO2 and all the stuff out into the world, and who are we to say that they shouldn't? So there's all these inequities. You know, it used to be in the 1970s, cover of Time magazine, we're going through global cooling. AOC 12 years ago, or 6 years ago, saying we have 12 years to live. So I think we should just kind of like put all that stuff aside for a moment, that most of us agree on like the broad, we would like the earth to be nice. I would say the grifter part as it pertains to Greta is that it's pretty clear to me that most people, and definitely the culture, at least in America, has moved on from the climate hysteria. And because of that, she's just trying to attach herself to another hysteria. And I would say it's an equally flawed hysteria. It's interesting because, you know, she could have, if she really wanted to go to Gaza, the easiest way to go to Gaza is you would just fly to Cairo, and then you could take a car. And I've done this. I did it the other way. I went years ago in 1997 when it was a lot safer to do. I went to the southernmost tip of Israel, and you could go into Sinai. And then Sinai, it took about a 12-hour car ride, and you end up in Cairo. Now, she could have, if she wanted, have gone to Cairo and driven all the way to Gaza through Sinai, except, you know what she would have found there, Russell? She would have found a big-ass wall. Look at that wall. That is the wall that separates Egypt from Gaza, because they don't want any Palestinians getting through. Now, for some reason, she never talks about Egypt, and nobody talks about Egypt. They could open that door. Sinai's basically empty, and they could let all the Palestinians in if they really cared about them. Unfortunately, they don't. So before I shut up, what would be my final thought on this? I don't think her intentions are good. For her to say she was kidnapped, I was just in Israel. I went to Hostage Square, and I talked to many people, several women who were kidnapped, who lived under Gaza. For one woman, 54 days, whose native tongue is Arabic, actually. So she tried to speak to these people in their language, and they would give her one capful of water a day while they forced her to cook food for them, and would give them a little bit of a moldy pita, and that's what she would have to survive on, while her legs were broken, and they gave her surgery with no anesthesia just to keep her alive, because they know that a hostage who's alive is worth more than a dead one, even though Israel tries to get back all their dead people too. So no, I actually don't really think she cares, and again, if she did, and if most of the people that purport to care about this did, let's say Israel was the most evil country in the history of the world. Let's say that all the things that they say were true. All anyone would have to do is say, Egypt, open up the door. Sinai is about 10 times the size of Israel. Basically, nobody lives there. You could let them all in. There are apartments there that are empty, actually, right on the other side of the Gaza border. But so it's unfortunately, it's all theater. These people, they don't want to build a state. They want to destroy a state.